Hi everybody, welcome to our Sunday Facebook Live events. Today we're going to talk about mindfulness and oils and just trying to use the oils to find ways to support ourselves through our emotions and through our stress and anxiety and all the crazy things that happen in our lives day to day. So this is a really fun topic for me because we have been exploring this as a family over the last while and how to support ourselves through challenging situations. And I'm not sure if it's been like this for you, but in our household it's been a little bit crazy over the last couple of months. And as I've been talking to other people, I've been hearing that from them as well, that this fall has been just a lot of upheaval, a lot of illness, a lot of stress, a lot of moving deaths, and just all those things really challenge us in our health and wellness. And so I wanted to bring some ideas out that have worked for me, and maybe they'll work for you, and maybe you can share with me as well what you've been working on and how you've been supporting yourself through possibly challenging situations. So today I'm coming to you from my meditative place of where I like to sit and practice breathing or quietness or prayer or meditation or mindfulness or intention, or there's so many words to use for what it is that we do to support ourselves on an emotional, physical, and spiritual level. So I often use the word meditation, but just substitute in whatever it is that you use and that you're comfortable with. So whether it is your prayer time or your meditation or your mindfulness or whatever. Actually, I'm going to refer to it as mindfulness today because the practice of mindfulness is being talked about a lot right now in all over, from every industry, from the doctors that I've been going to see to the psychologists to life coaches to counselors. Mindfulness is right up there with one of the top things that they're prescribing for people to do, including the neurologist that we just went to see a couple of weeks ago for my son. That was part of his treatment plan, was mindfulness. And also for my other children who see other practitioners as well. Mindfulness is at the top of the list. So we may be hesitant to try different things because, I don't know, there's lots of stigmas attached to mindfulness, but there's lots of different ways to practice mindfulness, and I'd like to share just a few ideas, and hopefully one will work for you. Or if you have a mindfulness practice, then oh, thank you, Laura. Then if you have a mindfulness practice, then you can share with us what works for you too. So I'm really excited to share, and before I get going, I want to start with an oil that's going to help ground me and hopefully bring clarity so that you can understand what I'm saying and trying to communicate with you, and just to calm my nerves as well. This is a new topic for me to really talk about. Even though I've been exploring it for a long, long time. I just really want to share something and hopefully find something that will work for you. So the oil that I'm going to use is myrrh. So this is a really good spiritual grounding and just a lovely oil. Some people like the smell, some people don't. But I quite like it. It feels quite earthy to me, and it feels good. So I'm going to start with myrrh, and before we get going, maybe you can grab an oil as well, and we will apply oils together before we get going into our topic today. So grab an oil. It doesn't necessarily matter what oil it is, whatever it is that you're attracted to. All of the oils have spiritual components to it, have help with mindfulness. So just grab an oil, and I'd love to hear what it is that you grab. So if you type in, or if you're watching this later, just, still type it in what oil you grabbed. And this is what we're going to do. So we're going to do the practice that I've shown in a few other Facebook Lives on how to use an oil for that spiritual practice, for grounding, for working with emotions. So you can either use it straight up or dilute it, depending on how you like to use your oils. If you're going to dilute it, take a few drops of your liquid oil, whatever it is, if it's olive oil or coconut oil, grapeseed oil, whatever your carrier oil is, put a few drops into your hand, and then you're going to drip in your intention oil for the day. So a drop or two, I've got one drop, that's enough. I'm going to move it three circles clockwise, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to apply it You can just kind of use your intuition to guide you as to where to put it, but I'm going to put it on my heart center, and I'm also going to put it on my forehead. And I'm going to rub your hands together, activate those oils, and we're going to sniff in deep, 3 deep breaths. Okay, are you ready? Awesome. In I think it's 20 seconds, between 20 seconds and 2 minutes, that oil will be throughout every cell of your body. So, we're ready to go. All right, that's our myrrh. So many things to share. I even have notes today because I didn't want to miss anything. So mindfulness, what is it and what does it mean? So according to Wikipedia, mindfulness is the state of being conscious or aware of something. Laura is diffusing release and awesome. She's applying it to her solar plexus, where she carries a lot of emotions, as well as to her temples and the back of your neck. Awesome. Thank you, Laura. Release is really good, and we'll try and talk a little bit more about that one today too. So release is Laura's, and I'm using myrrh, and please feel free to post what it is that you're using too. So again, the mindfulness is the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. A normal state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment, while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations. It's often used as a therapeutic technique. Very true, because as I mentioned before, all the doctors that I've been seeing recently, from natural health practitioners to neurologists to psychologists to counselors, all encourage a mindfulness practice. And again, you can use whatever works for you. If you want to use prayer, that's fine. Meditation, that's fine. Whatever it is that resonates with you. But mindfulness is kind of like the overall umbrella idea as to what focusing on the present moment is. And when you take that time to focus on the present moment, the past and the future fall away, so that all you have is right now. And the body responds to that by lowering your blood pressure, being able to just observe your thoughts as opposed to becoming a part of them. So considering it being a train going by. And when we are really in it and not observing our thoughts and feelings, we might be jumping from train car to train car to train car to train car, each of those cars being a thought that distracts us from where the destination is that we're going. If we take a step back and we observe that train going by, so those thoughts are still going by, but we're not jumping on board. We're just watching them, just being present, being grounded in where we are right now. So some ways that I like to do that and to have a mindfulness practice is by focusing every day a little bit of time on the present moment. So it could be 20 seconds, it could be 2 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be once a day, it could be twice a day. Find what works for you and start out slow. If it's really intimidating and you're like, geez, I don't have time to sit for 10 minutes, that's okay. Focus on just a couple of breaths at a time. 5 deep breaths in one at a time can be really, really helpful. And that's something that you can do in the car when you're driving to work. You're at a stoplight. Take a moment, take 5 deep breaths. Fill your belly up from down here, not from here, and really focus on those 5 deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling and focusing on that breath. So watching the light, when the light is ready to go, notice how you begin to feel. Are your emotions a little bit calmer? Has your anxiety gone down? Are you able to focus on driving? Or in the subway, same sort of thing. When you're sitting in that chair, there's a lot going on. Everybody's watching their devices or whatever. Use your device as a tool. So maybe you download a podcast that helps with a meditation practice. So a meditation podcast or a breathing podcast or a really good story that really resonates with you. So use your devices for helping cultivate that mindfulness practice. I also like to use one of these beautiful things. So this is a salt lamp, and it's because it's turned on, it's hard to really see it. There you go. So I like to have this on in my room all day because it really helps to change the energy in the room. And you can do research on it as to how it is helpful. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I've really noticed a difference in the ambience in my room and how I sleep and all those things. You can actually put oils on here too. I was reading up on that today, and some people will just drop an oil or two onto the heat lamp, and that resonate throughout the room that you're using it in. So a really great opportunity to use for just changing the energy that's around you in your house and in your room. I'm going to turn it back on because I really like to have it going. Also in my mindfulness practice, I have a lot of tools that I like to use. Sometimes I'll use a little bit of incense. Maybe I'll use a sage burning stick and have those to clear the air so I get ready to be able to be present in the moment. One of my really big gifts to myself is one of these. So this is just a pillow. It's a moon-shaped pillow, and you can find lots of different comfy pillows, but this is like the pillow that I use. When I sit on this pillow, I know it's time for me to get grounded and to spend a few minutes in my practice. So I generally will choose an oil before I get started. I'll get on my pillow. I'll get comfortable. And it could be a chair too. Maybe there's a special chair that you like to sit in. It doesn't have to be on the floor. It doesn't have to be cross-legged. It doesn't have to be anything but what's comfortable for you. Again, it could be in the seat of your car. It could be in the subway. It could be just before or just as you're cooking dinner. Maybe there's a lull in the house and there's a couple of minutes for you to be mindful and take a few deep breaths to enjoy what it is that you are cooking. That's a challenge for me because cooking is not my favorite thing to do. So I do try, in order to make that experience a little bit more pleasurable, to focus on my breath and remember some gratitude that I can prepare these food for my family, which is a really big gift. Other tools that I like, if I am really wanting to have a deep meditative practice, mindfulness, I've got maybe 20 minutes, I might use my eye mask. Put that on, put a bit of lavender oil onto the face mask, so I'm breathing that in and getting that calming sensation while I'm doing that. Also, I wouldn't be without my noise canceling headphones. Again, that can really help to just block out all the other noise around me so that I can focus on either a podcast that I've downloaded or just silence, because they do a really great job of blocking out a lot of the external sounds that are happening. Lighting a candle. So I forgot to light this beforehand, but I will light it now. Candles are really great, even for just staring at, and it can take your mind off of a lot of the other things that are going on in your environment and in your mind. So just lighting a candle, looking at the flame, observing it, looking how it flickers, and seeing how that just helps to calm things in your mind. So that could be your mindfulness practice, is lighting a candle, smelling an oil, and just observing. And it's not about canceling out the thoughts that are going into your mind. Remember, the train is still always going by. Those cars are still always there. But it's about observing and not jumping on that train and going on for a crazy ride to wherever that thought pattern is going to lead us. Some of the other oils that I like to include in my practice, which are recognized by Health Canada as being calmative and helpful in meditation or in relaxation, I'm going to read them all off because there's quite a few, and then I'll get more specific as to what some of them could do. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's quite a few. So some of these you might already have in your supply, and some of them you might want to put on your order, and some of them might even come this month because they're part of our Essential Rewards program for the month of November. So the first one is Aroma Ease, then cedarwood, basil, grapefruit, lavender, lemongrass, marjoram, orange, peppermint, sacred frankincense, thyme, and ylang ylang. So all these oils, we can talk openly about how they help with stress management in our bodies, which is kind of cool. So I wanted to, as I was going through a little bit more research as to what each oil does for each emotion that we're experiencing, I began to see a trend, and kind of like 3 to 4 top oils that seem to come up a lot when we're dealing with different kinds of emotions. And so these would kind of be maybe your first aid kit for emotions. These are the oils that I would always try to have on hand, and in case a situation came up. So feelings like anger, anxiety, lack of self-confidence, depression, grief, insecurity, irritability, loneliness, stress, and happiness and peace. So there are a number of oils that address each of these things. But I find that the 4 most common oils that are talked about in all those emotions are frankincense, bergamot, ylang ylang, and vetiver. So the frankincense is one of the ones that does come in the premium starter kit when you first get the big kit from Young Living. That one's already in there. So that would be your number 1 stress buster. I would use that for calm and tranquility, to supply energy and spiritual grounding. So this is a perfect one to use for any mindfulness practice. Just throw it on wherever you feel led to, whether it's on your heart center, whether it's the back of your neck, whether it's the crown of your head. If you're working with different chakras, again, the frankincense is just a miracle one for that. I really enjoy that. Another pleasant one is bergamot, and I think, I had it here, but it took legs. So bergamot is the flavor that's used like in Earl Grey tea. So it's a citrus based, and we find that the citrus oils are really great for stress management and helping just to get back within our bodies. So it's a really nice aroma. The bergamot is really nice aroma. Another one is ylang ylang. So this one is often used for just our feminine, lovely sexuality. It's a really great one for just getting connected with who we are as women, putting it on before date night, or helping with stress and anxiety. So that's kind of cool. It also amplifies happiness and peace, and can help move through feelings of anger. So in your mindfulness practice, sometimes I will focus on a specific emotion that I'm experiencing at that time. So my mindfulness practice might be, in addition to maybe doing a 10-minute meditation in the morning, I will also check in with how I'm feeling that day. So I go to this book. I've talked about this book a fair bit, and it's called Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils. So in the morning, I'll go to this book, and I will start to notice how I'm feeling. So maybe I'm feeling really overwhelmed. So I will go to the book, look up the feeling of overwhelmed, and then find that corresponding oil that works with that. This takes me maybe 20 seconds in the morning to do. When I find that oil, I apply it. I use the intention, there's a verbal sentence that goes with each of the emotions to help you find the other side of that emotion. So it's a really short practice, but it does give me that opportunity to just rest and experience that emotion. I don't have to ignore that emotion. I can really get into it. If it's that feeling of overwhelm, notice where it is in the body, take a few seconds, apply that oil, say the intention, and then move on with my day and see if that feeling still arises again. And often it doesn't. Often it's gone. It's been recognized. So it was kind of knocking on my door going, hello, I'm getting anxious and overwhelmed. There's so much to do today. What are we going to do? How are we going to get it all done? And when I sit and take that moment to go, yeah, I am feeling overwhelmed. That's okay. Let's grab that oil and let's move on with our day. And that often helps me set up my day a whole lot better than sitting with that emotion for the whole day, that emotion of overwhelm. So that was the ylang ylang. And then the vetiver is another really good one for anger and for grief as well. The vetiver is really great for that. It's a fairly strong smell, so it might take a bit of getting used to, but some people really like it. It's also a very thick oil, so I tend to like to warm it up a little bit in a little bit of warm water. Just stick your bottle into a cup of warm water and let it warm up a little bit so that it flows a little bit nicer. It's just a really thick and juicy oil, so try that. And you can tell by the top, it's really quite sticky, whereas the other oils aren't quite like that. Myrrh is also like that, a little bit sticky. So again, warming it up is really helpful to get that flowing really nicely. So I would say those are like your top 4: frankincense, bergamot, ylang ylang, and vetiver, that can really help with a lot of different coming and going of emotions and finding that place of peace and happiness within yourself. Some other things that I like to do is focusing on gratitude. So every morning or at the end of the day, maybe both, just finding little things to be grateful for. And some of the things that I tend to go to a lot are the surroundings that I live in. So out my bedroom window, I can see the mountains and the glacier, and I overlook the city that I live in. And so it's lovely each day to go and check and see what's happening out there, whether the clouds are covering my view, whether it's a crystal clear day and I can see the glacier far down the mountains. I can see the snow on the top of the mountaintops. I can see the leaves turning colors, and I really like to take that opportunity to ground in and find that gratitude for those beautiful views that I have. Expressing gratitude for simple things, so maybe for the ability to get out of bed, because some days I can't get out of bed, and maybe you experience that too. So finding the gratitude to just take the moments to really express something little or something big. It doesn't even really matter. It can be my feather down blanket, which I put on a couple of weeks ago because the weather was shifting, and that warmth and that just the feeling that it brings, that's a lot to be grateful for too. And then setting an intention for the day. So in the morning, checking it out, what do I intend to happen today? So an intention is like an aim or a plan, but it's detached from any outcome or expectation. So sometimes when we just say out loud, my intention today is to whatever, I want to meet somebody new, or I want to complete 2 things on my to-do list, or whatever it is, setting that out there, you're kind of proclaiming that to the universe, to God, to whoever it is that you connect with, to say, this is where my plan is. I don't really know what your plan is today, but this is mine, and maybe we can work together on accomplishing that. When I detach from the outcome, I often look back at my day and go, well, I had intended this to happen, but actually this happened, and this was way better than what I had intended. So being able to be open to what it is that might happen in my day, and being willing and ready to serve in whatever capacity I am able. Looking for those opportunities and following my intuition. Super, super cool. Each morning, taking those 5 deep breaths in and out, whether it is before I get out of bed, or whether it's on my commute to work, or whether it's at my coffee break, whatever opportunity I find to take those deep breaths. Smiling for no reason. I started doing this actually, and it's kind of cool. Because actually, I did find reason. I would smile not to anybody but to myself, and maybe it was for no reason at the beginning, but now sometimes that reason is just because I found a little bit of joy, and or whatever it is. Maybe I found a parking spot. So just those little things that can put a smile on our face and help to change the composition of what's happening inside our bodies. Focusing, oh, here was a saying that I found really helpful too. Positive people also have negative thoughts. They just don't let them grow and ruin their lives. So it's not about eradicating everything that we think or the negative feelings that we experience, but it's about not letting them run our lives, which is kind of cool. Another practice that's really helpful to include in a mindfulness is putting your legs up the wall. So scooting yourself up to the edge of the wall and sliding your legs up so that your legs are up and you're laying on your back. So your legs are here and you're laying on your back like this for 5 minutes, and just deep breathing and noticing what happens. So your heart rate is able to slow down, your heart's not needing to work as hard, and it kind of gives your body a whole deep rest. So that's a really great way to end the day, and just to find those 5 minutes of mindfulness. Also, reading. Reading practice is also great, and some of the books that I have been really enjoying right now, one is called Love Warrior. This just came out. Sorry, it's probably backwards on there. So it's called Love Warrior by Glennon Doyle Melton. One of the other mindfulness practices is to really absorb what it is that you're reading and really focus on what you're reading. And I noticed that in this book, I would get to some chapters and I would have to just close the book because I was like, man, there's a lot in there. I want to absorb that. I really want to just wring that sponge out of all the knowledge and the insight that was provided in that chapter. So this has been, I don't know, just a really cool book to read for me. I started it and read it through in September. Got to the end of the book and put it down, picked it up, and started reading it again. Except this time when it went through, I had a highlighter with me. So that was really neat. I've never done that before. Maybe other people are. So there's some of my highlighted stuff. Maybe some of you do that lots, but that was new for me. The very first time I've ever picked up a book and just read it right through a second time. Just with so many gems in this, and pretty much life-changing in how I think and how I view some of the experiences that happened in my life as well as in her life. She's just very real, very raw, and just tells it like it is, and was really, really cool. Another book that I've just started is called 10% Happier. And this is by Dan Harris. He is a journalist on, I think, CBC, or I can't remember. I'm just starting it. So these kind of books are great for just helping to share experiences on how to reduce stress and encourage our mindfulness practice. Another one, which has been a while that I've read this one, but this is called 1,000 Names for Joy. And I think I've also got some highlights going on in here too. Really, really good, helping to identify where it is that I'm suffering because I believe my thoughts, or because I jumped on that train and I'm gone on this crazy journey. So really helping to pull us off that train and get us back onto solid ground. This one's an oldie but a goodie, and I'm sure many of you have read it, but if it's been a while, it might be time to read it again. Eat, Pray, Love. This was years ago I read it, and really, really enjoyed it. I think I've read this one through twice as well. Just really helping to enhance our spiritual journey and just find what works for you. So those are some really good books that I really quite enjoy. The other oils that I wanted to talk about that I think are on the November Essential Rewards promo this month are basil, marjoram, and cypress. And so some of those in using for mindfulness, I noticed that cypress, actually I don't know if cypress is on this month or not, that might have been last month. Cypress is open, clarifying, and elevating, and centering. Oh, cedarwood is another good one too. If you've got that one in your collection, I like to use that for getting ready for sleep. It is also centering, grounding, meditative, and stabilizing. And, I'm sorry, that one didn't come through clearly. Oh, cypress, that's another good one for grief. So work with these ones too. Marjoram, I also just did not have to do with mindfulness, but really good for sore muscles. I've been using that for that as well. I've also started diffusing like marjoram with lavender or basil with lavender, kind of mixing them with lavender to get that extra sensation of calm and just a lovely ambience. Great. Any questions? Instead of also doing the straight up oils, these are all the single oil blends that I've showed you. Sometimes you can get really good results with the blends. So ones like Harmony and Release, they are really good for working with these types of things in your life. So in your mindfulness practice, you might want your intention to be just a little bit more harmony in your life, in your family, or whatever it is that's happening. Or you might have some release work to do. So maybe there's some feelings that you need to release, some expectations you need to release, some belief systems that you need to release. These are great oils to use before you start your mindfulness practice. So applying them on, setting your intention, and then doing your mindfulness practice, whether it is meditating or just deep breathing or watching that train go by. That's a really good, I like to see that sometimes too, just sitting and observing what are the thoughts that are going through my head, one after another, and trying not to jump on that train. And then if I do, not even beating myself up about it, just going, yeah, that's being completely human. I'm going to get off the train again and I'm going to start watching it again. Oh, I jump back on the train again. No worries. I'm going to jump back off and again watch that train go through. So I think that's some of the tools that I have shared. Anything else that I have missed? I think that's all I have that are surrounded me. I've got everything around me on the floor because this is the place that I like to sit and do my mindfulness practice right on the floor. So before I wrap up, I wanted to share a little bit more about this Essential Rewards, Essential Oils desk reference guide. So there's been a number of people who have asked me about this, and I think the people who have asked, I have sent an email out saying that this book is for sale. So it's quite thick. It's a good 1.5 to 2 inches thick. It's full of all the oils and how to use them, and different stories. Just it's a wealth of knowledge and information. Generally, this is $69, but it is on sale right now for $39.95, I think, plus shipping. And it ships out of Calgary. So if you're in the Calgary area, you can even go pick it up and save on your shipping. Or if you're anywhere else, you can just have it shipped out. And really good price right now, no minimums. Usually you have to buy a bunch at a time to get that price, but for right now, it is not. So I will post the link for that in the bottom, in the comments section, so you can go and check that out. It is not published by Young Living. Young Living doesn't publish these types of books because there's claims made in them, and Young Living doesn't do that unless it's one of the natural health products approved for that. But so these are researched independently, and there's studies and things like that in this, and information to back it up, but just Young Living isn't in the business of books and that kind of thing. So it's a third party that does that, but they're all Young Living oils that are discussed in that book. Oh, I know what else I forgot to talk about. Your water. That is so important. So before you start your mindfulness practice, good to have a sip of water to hydrate and get your brain going. We need that to replenish us. So take a sip of water before you start your mindfulness practice. Awesome. Well, I think that's all I have for you today. Please feel free to add any comments, any questions, share your mindfulness practice, because we learn from everybody. And I tend to be, I get bored easy. So I like to just switch it up, do different things. Sometimes it might be meditation, sometimes it might be deep breathing, sometimes it might be laying in my bed listening to something, a guided meditation. So please share what it is that's your favorite way to support yourself and through your emotions, through your thoughts, and ground out where you need to go. I'm so glad to have you, and I'm so glad to spend some time with you. And we will see you soon, and I will post those a few little things in the comment section, a little bit more about the oils that I talked about if you missed that. I'll post actually some information about what the oils I talked about and what they do. Alrighty, thank you. Have a good Sunday afternoon. Bye-bye.